By the time Theresa pushed through the crowd and got a bit close to where the pastor's wife was being held, people had already started beating her. "Please stop beating her. Where is the baby?" Theresa yelled, but she couldn't still get close enough because the slaps and the blows from people prevented Theresa from reaching her. "Somebody help me," Theresa kept yelling. The crowd was increasing and the screams from people were getting louder. So this is how they do miracles. So this is how they attract crowd. Imagine that woman bearing someone's baby, people yelled. Theresa didn't see any baby. The next thing Theresa heard was police sirens. The air became filled with tear gas and people dispersed. Theresa was struggling to breathe and even see. Policemen trooped out of the police van and scooped up the pastor's wife, got into the van and sped off. Theresa was in complete shock. She had no idea how she was to find the pastor's wife or the whereabouts of Mandu's baby. She tried asking some people if they had seen the baby, but nobody listened to her or responded. She rushed back to her friend and found Mandu in a very terrible state. "Mandu, I am so sorry," Theresa began saying. "I couldn't find your baby. The pastor's wife has been arrested," Theresa said as she knelt beside her friend. Mandu didn't speak. Tears kept running down her cheeks. Theresa had never seen anything like that in her life. "Mandu," Theresa called out, but Mandu didn't move or respond. Theresa quickly ran out to get help, and soon Mandu was lying at the back seat of Theresa's car as she sped towards the nearest hospital. All the while, Mandu's phone kept buzzing. Theresa hoped it wasn't Essien, Mandu's husband. Theresa didn't know how she was going to explain what had happened to Essien. How was she going to explain that his baby was missing and she didn't know if the baby was dead or alive? It took about an hour's drive, but when they got to the hospital, Mandu was quickly tended to by a doctor. A short while after, the doctor came out and told Theresa that her friend had just suffered a stroke. The doctor said that her friend's blood pressure was dangerously high at the time she was brought in, and, and that and that she had been put into a coma to stabilize her while they start administering treatment. Theresa knew she was in a big, muddy mess. She didn't even know how or where to start. The doctor assured Theresa that they were doing all they could, but she had to invite Mandu's next of kin as soon as possible because the person's attention was needed. Theresa quickly drove back to the church. She desperately needed to locate Mandu's baby, dead or alive. She couldn't believe what her desperation to get pregnant had resulted in. When she reached the church, she couldn't find anyone. The place was locked. Theresa went into panic. She didn't have the contact of the pastor or that of any member of his church. Theresa went out into the street to ask the people who had shops close to the church if they knew how she could find the pastor. Once she mentioned the name of the church, people just became mute and refused to talk to her. At some point, Theresa started crying. She felt helpless and unsure of what to do next, but luck decided to cast a ray her side. One old lady listened to her explanation and missed her tears. She offered her a seat and water to drink. When she noticed Theresa had stopped crying, she took a seat by Theresa's side and spoke to her the way a mother would speak to a child. "I am not going to condemn you because I know you're already doing that to yourself. I will advise you never to act out of desperation. Always do what you can physically and leave the rest to God. Children are a gift from God and cannot be bought with a 1 million naira fasting. I will advise you to go to the police station, and if you don't get any luck, visit some clinics or medicine stores nearby. I hope you find the answers you seek," the woman said. When she got to the station, Theresa didn't bargain for what she got. Immediately she narrated what happened, she was arrested and locked up. She was asked to disclose the whereabouts of the pastor and other members of the church. Theresa had to call her husband to come bail her. Tolu only showed up 2 days later. After he bailed her, he told her that her bags would be at the door waiting for her. Tolu informed her that his new wife was pregnant and he wanted a divorce from Theresa. He told her that he couldn't solve his image with her scandal. After Tolu left, Theresa went to her car and sat down and broke down. She cried out her eyes. Theresa was heartbroken. Just as she was about to drive out, a female police officer walked up to the car. She threw something into the car and walked back into the station. Theresa looked around in her car to find what she had thrown into the car. If you're enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up. Please help us reach our goal of 500 subscribers by subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Back to the story. The policewoman had thrown in a crumbled piece of paper. Theresa immediately picked it up. She opened it and written on it was an address. Mando's phone that was in Theresa's car started ringing. It was Essien, Mando's husband. Theresa couldn't take the call. How was she going to start explaining what had happened to Mando? She traced the address given to her by the policewoman to a clinic. There she inquired about the baby that was found with the pastor's wife. She was quickly ushered in to see the doctor in charge. All the while, Theresa prayed it was Mando's baby. Theresa would have given her life just so that it was Mando's baby and for the baby to be alive. The doctor refused to say anything until he met with the physician in charge of Mando's case. Theresa gave him all the information he needed before finding her way to the nearest hotel to have a bath. She had not eaten, had a bath, or slept in days. She woke up to the sound of Mando's phone. It was Mando's husband. Theresa couldn't ignore it any longer. She picked the call and told her friend's husband everything that had happened. When she finished talking, Essien ended the call. Theresa couldn't tell what Essien would do to her if anything happened to his wife. The call that came in next was to Theresa's phone. It was the hospital asking her to come in. As Theresa drove to the hospital, she prayed that her friend was alright. She couldn't believe how a single action had turned her life upside down. When she got to the hospital, she was told that the doctor wanted to see her. She went to his office and found the doctor from the clinic where the baby was kept. The doctor told her that the baby was indeed Mando's baby, that he had to carry out a DNA test to confirm it because other babies had been found at the church. The bad news was that the baby was in intensive care unit because the pastor's wife had tried strangling the baby. The doctor told Theresa that the baby would have had a very bad fate if not for the stranger that caught the pastor's wife trying to bury the baby. Before Theresa could breathe a sigh of relief, the doctor told her that the baby has been transferred to the hospital because the baby had some bruised ribs and respiratory issues. In other words, the baby was still in a bad state. Theresa went over to her friend's bedside and told her that her baby had been found, but her friend was still in coma. Not long after, Essien came in with the police and arrested Theresa. He accused her of conspiring with the church to kill his wife and use his baby for rituals. Theresa's nightmare just wouldn't end. She was kept in prison for a few weeks, and just when she was about to be charged to court, a miracle happened. She was set free. She came out of prison to find Mando standing outside the prison gate. Theresa ran to her friend. They both cried, with Theresa begging Mando for forgiveness for all she had put her through. Desperation had given Theresa more than she had bargained for. Theresa later found out that Mando's baby had survived, though still on observation. And Tolu had married a lady that was pregnant for him. But that was still not the end of Theresa's story. Keep listening. Theresa picked up the bits and pieces of her life and moved on, but she was in for another shocker. Years after, when she went to have a baby through IVF using a sperm bank, She discovered something she could have discovered sooner if she had done a proper checkup. Theresa had cervical stenosis. She was born that way. Her cervix was almost blocked, and after a procedure, Theresa was able to have a successful implantation and delivery. But sadly, her ex-husband Tolu was in the news, but not for a movie award. He had a big scandal concerning the paternity of his children. His mother, always being very nosy and intrusive, had carried out a paternity test on his children, and out of the 4 children that Tolu had with his second wife, only one of the children was his. Theresa learned a bitter lesson because of desperation. But just like other life lessons, you learn and you keep on living. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't to keep enjoying intriguing African folktales with great life lessons. Share this video with a friend or two that you feel will like it. Thank you.